This is August 18th, 2025. You wouldn't believe it. With everything. Yesterday, I was up in Fairlawn. They found the tape of them making fun of FBI Agent John from June 7th, 23. For FBI Agent John fell for the stunt I tasted for. Oh, come on now. That FBI agent fell for that? It was only a stunt. You're kidding. You mean John fell for that? Was only a stunt. You mean that FBI agent John actually fell for the stunt I tasted for? Oh, come on now. It was only a stunt. You mean that FBI agent actually fell for that? FBI agent John fell for the stunt I tasted for. Is that why they got away with it? Name and title, screaming, laughing at him in Walmart 62. June 7th, 23, 10, 11 in the morning. They sold videos of it to children. August 5th, Dutch Valley Restaurant, Millersburg, where on the 4th, they had admitted they used hallucinogenic drugs on me. That's why I had the metal taste in my mouth and it causes sleepwalking. That's why I don't remember anything. Okay, they're in there and they're calling Agent John a coward. They said, as if that Agent John didn't know they were using hallucinogenic drugs on her to make her sleepwalk, and that they had drugged her and told her to say it before, as if he didn't know. He let them drug, beat, and rape her, and he even let them torture her. And as if he didn't know that they weren't using the hallucinogenic drugs and drugging her and telling her to say that before. Is he some kind of coward? And sat there and called him a coward. August 6, 25, Walmart 62. How they have a tape of them admitting they used hallucinogenic drugs, so I wouldn't remember. And they had drugged me and told me to say it before, that they admitted it again, and they called Agent John a coward. Okay. What was it? July 25th, 26th of 25, Walmart 62. An investigator from 18, wearing Bob Evans. I was having breakfast with my husband. Went to walk out, and some of these people for a bill from the Freemasons big scam. Okay. Said something. Well, John verified it for Will. I was like, oh, hell no. John never verified anything for Will. John, on Thanksgiving of 18, when I asked him what's going on, he said he didn't know that Melissa's ex-wife was just going to have the kids make up something because of divorce. But don't worry about it. Nobody could say anything bad about you. She'll have her church people make up something too, but don't worry about it. Nobody can say anything bad about you. Just be made up because of the divorce. Says it several times. And then a year or two later, when Melissa pulled a bitch move on him, snuck in his house after their divorce, waited for him to come out of the bathroom, screamed and lunged at him to startle him, so he pushed her. Didn't even know she was in the home. Laugh now, I got you. Had him arrested for domestic violence. Had to bail out of jail, get an attorney, pay fines, lost his kids for a year. Called me up and said, Mom, I'm going to try to get partial custody of the kids back again. And he said, I need a reliable name to put on the court records to pick up Kenzie Carrington. I know. Will you help me? I said, John, I work 2 jobs. I don't get off the first one, let alone the second one. I'll lose my apartment. I barely make it now. But Mom, these are my kids. I said, John, there's nothing I can do about it. I won't have a place to live. He ended up losing his kids. I couldn't afford to quit one of my jobs, let alone both. He moved to Florida years ago. Remarried to a beautiful woman, looks very happy. Comes visits his kids a couple times a year. Hell would freeze over before he'd help Melissa. She's an electrical design engineer, makes $95,000 to $145,000. He has to, because he's an electrician too, makes big money. He has to pay her like $30,000 in child support a year. She makes $145,000 to $175,000 a year. Hell would freeze over. He'd tell you, tell that bitch to figure it out herself if she wanted to be sole parent. She makes enough money for 3 incomes. 3 houses. She didn't make up the mean games to pretend till after the FBI case. The FBI called her out in Walmart 62. How dumb she was, making this up when I was fishing with Dave. And that they taped her telling the kids a lie, and on Thanksgiving of 18 in a legally booked house, that they wanted the house for Auntie Shaw and Papa, and that they were making everything up. They were games of pretend. The police, including the Stark County sheriffs that worked my case, have admitted they taped those kids saying they were lying, and the FBI. They're documenting mean jokes. Nobody went to the hospital, no pictures of injuries, no police report, because the police and the FBI were already there. And they even announced several times, several places, they taped those kids saying they were lying. This one client I was taking care of in 21, he said, "Who's that crazy Melissa? They all talk about lying everywhere we go." Start laughing. I said, the ex-daughter-in-law, friends with ex's girlfriend, had the kids make up some mean games of pretend in front of the police on Thanksgiving of 18. He's like, it's been years and they're still talking about that girl lying. Is she crazy? And I said, yes. And like they said, it was sick. Karen's risking her life to get information on these people, to trying to save everybody's life, and they're sitting around laughing, making up stuff behind her back. It's sick, and they ought to be ashamed of themselves. March 23rd, 23, 2 FBI agents walk in. We told these people, stay out of it. We interviewed her whole family a long time ago. She's never hurt anyone. Nobody's ever seen anything. And it was just some lady thought she could make money off of it, exploiting and harming people. All right. Now, we're going to put it this way. I went on Google, and it said, can your doctor be in it with your ex-husband and a group of people against you? The answer is no. They are to be arrested for HIPAA violation. It's 10-year sentence. See how dumb their scam is? Like they said, these people did not realize the word doctor made it so illegal it would not be admissible because of HIPAA, and they would go to jail. And the doctor would lose his license forever. A doctor cannot talk about your medical records without your consent. That is HIPAA. If they know someone's being harmed, they have to give a limited report to the police, or if they can prove somebody was harmed, they would go to jail as an accessory for not reporting it. If a doctor tapes you unaware, they are to lose their license immediately and to go to jail for 10 years because it's HIPAA and Privacy Act. If a doctor drugs you for a confession, it is pharmaceutical torture, and it's 20 to 30 years, and they are to be arrested and their medical license taken away forever. That's how dumb, and it's right on Google. I had went over on Christmas Eve of 22, asked Annie and Jen if they knew of any of this. They knew nothing. They were blaming and framing them, that they were part of the shower scene in the other room, the tape to make me look weird with myself. They did a body ratio. The investigators, it wasn't even me. They put my head on somebody else's body where they laughed. They put a shower scene of washing yourself in the other room in their stocking tapes. It was actually even somebody else. It wasn't even me. Okay. All right. They knew nothing because they weren't part of it, and they were lying on them and framing them. And I kept going over there, and my oldest grandson, Gabe, his girlfriend Shay said, Karen, this is scary, the thought somebody was watching you. I said, I know that. I said, what's really scary is they said they took a video of me shower and washing myself, put it in the other room, and to make me look weird with myself, washing myself in the shower. She's like, Karen, this is scary. I said, what's really scary is everyone used the bathroom. Well, my daughter-in-law, Jen, she's a big girl. She's like, well, I hope I was gassy. I said, you don't understand. Everybody used that bathroom. And I looked at the kids, and she's like, great. Well, I kept going over and talking to him. And I said, you know what's really scary is I would be fine. I'd be outside working. I'd come in, wash my hands, make something to eat and drink, and it'd be out of a 2-liter Diet Coke. Go and use the bathroom, wash my hands better, come out, take a drink in the room, and go Disney and Black. Or I'd wake up with injection marks. I had orange, lemon, grapefruit-sized bruises all over me, throwing up, almost passing out, heart racing. And they were supposed to drug me and beat me, and they were laughing at me in stores that they told me to say weirdo stuff. She's like, Karen, this is scary. Somebody was getting in your home and harming you. And I said, I know. I never seen her talk to anyone. Jen's like, I seen her like that. I seen those bruises. She said, and I didn't put it together. Somebody was harming her. April 16th, 23. Jen's mom's memorial service afterwards. I walk out to my car. Danny and Jen walk up to Gabe and Shay, across the parking lot. They still don't know I know. He said, I finally went to Dad, asked him what on earth is going on. He said he had hired some guy named Pete on his own. It was Pete and his men in her home before. Pete has her framed. Pete has her taped the filthy, dirty statement. I've never met him. It's just some guy Dave hired on his own. Just some guy. Not a doctor. Just some guy. The way the investigators are talking at some attorney's office, some attorney and his doctor friend running drug scams on people. Huh? They're doing it on their own, scamming people. The bill from the Freemason scam of the dirty doctor not being one of hers works for them, and they had lied. It was one of hers. And the whole thing's a scam from Bill from the Freemason. May 26, 25, Walmart 62. Florida Drug Cartel calls them out. Where they were laughing about it. And May 25th, 25, up in Summit Mall. This is a big joke. I can go up there and go shopping and people leave me alone. They know it's a big scam. March 27th, 25, an investigator's outside. He had dated this girl, Michelle, on a ruse. Got her to confess about the dirty doctor. And that I don't even know who he is. He works for them. They had lied. He was one of my doctors from before. And when they bashed in my head, they tried to kill me and leave me incompetent, and it didn't work. And he'd even got it out of Dave that a girlfriend from before me made him marry me so he could get a job at my dad's factory and so she could have free insurance. And she was a woman using my insurance, running up all those medical bills for 15 years. We got stuck with a copay, found out it was him and his girlfriend scamming me. I had chest pains for days. And then he could give her extra money. That my whole marriage was a scam. Okay? Michelle confessed again in front of the police and the FBI April 17th, 25. She's talked to several agents. April 24th, 25, the Texas group yells it out in Summit Mall that you tell that guy Will up here that was to pull off a scam here. Of that doctor from before not being one of hers. He works for them and they had lied. And Michelle had told him, we said to take care of her. And then they left all kinds of threats on that girl. Okay? The Texas, the Florida group, Michelle's told on them. Everybody's tired of it. Okay. Does that stop them? No, they were running with it today. Again, finding more fools to fool until they find out they're being scammed. You know, my son John, in November of 2018, that morning we were supposed to have coffee. And Dave knew I was leaving early. And I had got on 62, got up to about 60 miles an hour. And by the grace of God, I looked over when a red van went to pass me. A man is raising a gun towards my head, starts to pull the trigger back. I slam, I tug, I swerve, and I'm screaming. And he's trying to run me off the highway. And we're swerving in and out. And I'm slamming as hard as I can. And I finally slam hard enough. He goes forward and I go back. And I finally come to a stop. And I cry and cry my eyes out. Took me a long time to get myself together. Went and picked up the coffee, went over to John's. And by then Dave was threatening to kill everyone. And I was desperate to get them caught. And I'm walking around the field above his house. He's walking his dog. And I'm pacing and I'm seeing the bad vehicles drive by. And I want to scream and fall to my knees screaming, God help me. Someone just almost killed me. And I'm pacing. And he said, Mom, I got God's spirit in my life. I said, good to see it. I'm walking around and I'm pacing. He said, Mom, did you ever consider the story of Job? I looked at him, I said, somebody should have beaten that man in the head and put him out of his misery. He looks at me like I'm crazy, and I want to scream. He said, you want to talk to my minister? I said, talk to your minister, we'll fix this. We go in and we sit down. I start to drink my coffee. Somebody had laced it while we were out. He said, Mom, did you ever think about going back to churches? Like, I don't like churches. He looked at me and said, churches are good till they go rogue. And for a moment, he looked at my eyes. His mouth dropped up and he walked off. All of a sudden, I felt dizzy and I barely made it back home, fighting, trying to stay awake. Got in bed and slept all day. When I went to leave, the drug cartel was down the road. Okay. Now, I want you to consider the story of Job. The devil came to God. He said, I want someone to try. God said, have you considered my servant Job? There is no one more upright than him. He said, I can't touch him. You got a hedge around him. He said, he will never deny me. He said, then take the hedge down. He did. The devil burned all his crops, killed all his cattle, killed all his children, covered him in sores. He's sitting on an ash pile picking his sores. His friends, instead of reaching out and offering to help, they mocked him, made fun of him. His wife came up and looked at him and said, why don't you just curse God and die? And walks off, leaves him. So he starts arguing with God. He tells God, I'm a good man. Well, God knew that. God bragged on him. He said, I give money to the poor. He knew that. He bragged on him. I give money to the widows. He knew that. He bragged on him. He's arguing with God how good of a person he was. God already knew that. And when he got done arguing, God told him, he said, you stand up and face me like a man. He said, where were you when I hung the stars in the sky? Did you teach the birds to fly? Do you make sure that the lions and their cubs have food to eat? Do you take care of this and that? He's going on and on. He said, and if I was hungry, I would not ask you for anything to eat. Job bowed his head and said, I am wicked and I am evil. No man chooses his own trial. And when he realized that he was arguing with the Almighty God, thinking he was too good to even go through any misery, he realized he was sinning within his own righteousness and repented. God gave him back double than what he had. I have went back and thought of what John said. Did you consider the story of Job? God has more faith in us than we do ourselves. He knows we have an inner strength deep inside of us, that the wiles of the devil and the torment of him, that not many can withstand, that we would find it in him to hold it and to know what is right and what is true. And we will still stand till the day we die. When God has more faith in us than we do ourselves. For everyone that faced a trial they never thought they could live through. Never thought they could make it through the darkest night. And then the torment of evil people. But out of the grace of God, they survived to live another day and to tell the story of what they lived through and the torment of what they lived through. And God brought them through. I used to look at the sky and cry, God, where are you? Where are you? He was there the whole time. He was there when I got on 62. He was there in the moment I looked over. If I would not have looked over, the man would have shot me in the head, and I would have died the first or second month of the case. If it wasn't for him, I would not have lived being tortured and smothered and beat and raped and human trafficked and drugged till I lost 70 pounds. It is by the grace of God am I still here. I have friends that are ministers, and they have told me God has held you through this whole thing. I know that. And by his grace am I still here. And the devil runs around with these evil people that think they can harm and victimize people, and that they can steal from the people they victimize. They cannot. They look like the biggest fools in the devouring wolves, and all they are is chattering of wolves. They can do nothing to me. Where they say, oh, we're getting it together, we're going to do this. It's been 7 years. You can't do shit. You can't do anything to me. And when you realize they can't ever do anything to me, they can never touch anything I have. They can never do anything because everything they did is so illegal. It would put them in life in federal prison. And the only thing they're doing is fooling people. You know, John had told me there was lights flashing above our house in Ravenna. And I'd go out and I would look. We're 10 miles outside town. Wasn't fireworks, they were just lights flashing. I never thought of drones. And I called John. I said, there's lights out here flashing everywhere. He said, Mom, they're angels. I said, angels? He said, they're fighting over your soul. I said, John, I don't mean enough to anyone. He said, Mom, you don't realize they're angels and they're fighting over your soul. The officers that worked my case told people in 18 and 19 were Karen's angels. Agent John, are you done playing with the foolish people? You told Apostolic Church of Barberton you knew I was being drugged, being raped, and you were acting like a crazy call person to get the drug dealers where they said they had sodium pentothal reports. It's illegal in this country. They couldn't even get it. You fed me back to the wolves. You told on me for calling the hotline before you talked to me and confessed on a recorded line and acted like a crazy call person. Now you had met and talked and everybody already knew I called the FBI. We all know you don't have the authority to ask anybody to stay quiet. Due to the freedom of speech, it takes a judge to put a gag order on you. You're only a higher police officer, not demeaning you. But you don't even have the authority to ask someone to stay quiet. It takes a judge in a jury trial only. And it can't be in a court order. I've already talked to the police. I've talked to the prosecutor's office. I've talked to a criminal attorney. You don't have the authority to ask anybody to stay quiet. And it can't be in a court order. It's for getting you information and risking my life to get the government information. And you can't withhold my money. You can't misdirect it. But holding it in front of the barking wolves brought more and more out where they said it's a large extortion group. And you got a lot of drug cartel people. I'd like my money. They can never touch it. They can never even touch me. Where they've made a public fool out of you and the FBI, and they've called you everything from how they fooled you to calling you a coward and other names, calling you an idiot and all kinds of crazy stuff. But you outsmarted them. I would like my money. I need a medical card from the head injury. From the case where 12/21/18 I was stabbed in the neck, bashed in the back of the head, beat, raped, and left for dead. I got the size of a ball peen hammer in the back of my head. I got fast growing cataracts on my eyes. They on Google they show up years later from my head, severe back of the head injury because everything is knocked forward, and I'm going to have them removed. I stutter now when I'm upset. I was tortured. I was beat by these bastards, raped repeatedly, and they almost ruptured my intestines. I have large pouching in my intestines. They induced vomiting until I lost 70 pounds. My stomach shifted up underneath my ribs. My shoulders tore up. I have a damaged rib cage. I have internal injuries. By the grace of God, am I even here? So many injuries should have already killed me. It is by the grace of God am I here. I have lived through hell. And it's public knowledge because these people sold the login. My horror has been public entertainment. I need a medical card. A letter of thank you for helping out in this case and signed would be very nice. Show it to my children so they're proud of me. The marshals used the case, got thousands, saved hundreds. You got Judge Peters out of Florida and 100 men, and working together with law enforcement, you've saved hundreds and thousands have went to jail. Where I go up into Akron, we all know Karen's Well still open. It's part of the nationwide human trafficking scam where all the cartels showed up in Ohio in 18 and 19. And then they played a game of different states paying for the harassment, and they'd show up and brag what crimes they were doing, who they worked for, under police surveillance with a court order. And it couldn't be disputed. Like they said, the way the agent opened that case, it can't be disputed as legal police surveillance. They don't even need her. See where they laughed at me. We'll ruin your reputation so you can't testify against us in court. They never wanted a drugged up rape victim to testify. He wanted that court order for threat and attempted life for FBI informant with statements with a court order for legal police surveillance. It stands up in court without me, the sheriffs and FBI have been taping it with a court order. And it's under police surveillance. I'd like a letter of thank you, a medical card, and my money. I even got you Trekasami, my God. People have even, the last 2 weeks have been in Walmart 62 talking. We looked it up in where Michael Peterson in November and December of 21 was bragging how he was dealing with Trekasami. I stopped telling him I didn't believe him. And then how he's bringing oil into the country as a third party. And I told him I didn't believe him. Prove it. Why would I lie? I said, then prove it. So he sent me a letter of allegation, large money transfers. Got when he was leaving, where he was staying down there. What state was behind the smuggled oil? And even what hotel he was staying in. I got all kinds of information out of him. And last I heard, his credit cards got shut down because I turned him into all, even though I knew the police and FBI were recording, I turned him into every law enforcement there was. They shut down his credit cards. He got stuck there. Trekasami was arrested last year and 50 men for stealing from the government. That's where even last year they're like, what an accomplishment. One of their informants got information leading to Trekasami's arrest. A wanted terrorist. One of the lady investigators said they called down and asked about Michael Peterson's shipment because it was supposed to come to the United States. They said it wasn't legit. They look into it because we have a sanction against them. We don't trade with them. And that's what set off the investigation, which caused his arrest. Not bad for a little old lady. I kept goating him how I didn't believe him. I showed everything that I got from him to a retired sheriff, and he's like, what an idiot for giving you all that. I know, because they thought they were unstoppable, and they would break their crimes, for we all work for the king from Texas. We are his men. Dave hired us. He's a drug lord. If you look up the king from Texas, he's a U.S. military Iraqi translator, went into the dark web, malware, fentanyl king. And then the group that showed up at Faith Family Church in front of 3,000 people, that they were for Judge Peters, and they were from Florida. They were impersonating FBI agents that tortured me, Portage County sheriffs. Michelle was with them, and They were selling the login to the case at Faith Family Church. 3,000 people seen them. And how they were hurting me and breaking. They were the ones hurting me before, and they had mind-controlling drugs in 19. Judge Peters was arrested in 22 with 100 men. There was a group from Buffalo, New York. They got arrested. Michigan. A bunch of other people got arrested across the country off of this. They would show up and break their crimes and who they worked for. And they got enough information on them. And they went out and arrested them. I'd like a letter of thank you, a medical card, and my money. They can bark, they can yell, they can scream. And they can't do anything but bark. I'm going to upload this.